The Forgotten Debt. The great hall of the Galactic Council was filled with shadows and whispers. Towering figures of different species gathered under the shimmering dome, their voices low, their eyes uneasy. In the center of the chamber floated a giant star map, glowing blue and white, and at its edge one system pulsed faintly. Earth. The debt has been forgotten by them, one reptilian senator hissed, his scales glittering under the light. Humans are blind. They live without memory of the promise their ancestors made. Another, a creature of smoke and shifting form, replied with unease. Blindness is not safety, if they remember. The galaxy will tremble again. For a moment, silence spread across the hall as if even the walls feared the idea. The Forgotten Debt was an old story, one told only in secret meetings. Long before the rise of the Council, humans had once been saved by a small species, the Talari. Frail in body but fierce in loyalty, the Talari had bled for Earth during a war no human remembered now. In return, humanity swore a bond, a debt written in the stars. When you call, we will come. When you fall, we will rise for you. But the Talari were betrayed, their worlds burned, their name erased by empires that feared their closeness with humans and Earth. Still young, still weak, could not stop it. Centuries passed, and the promise faded from human history. Only whispers remained in hidden archives, yet, in the far corner of the council, an old historian of the Avari species spoke in a trembling voice. You believe the debt forgotten? But humans are strange. They dig, they search. They remember at the worst time. His many eyes glowed faint red. If they ever uncover the truth, they will not ask for mercy. They will repay, and the stars will shake. The council dismissed him with laughter. But unease remained on Earth, under the ruins of an old city. Deep in a vault sealed with steel and stone, a small team of human researchers stumbled on ancient data drives. Covered in dust broken by time, Dr. Lena, their leader, brushed her hand across one, her heart racing. The markings were not human, yet the language carried echoes she could almost read. It's a treaty, she whispered, signed in human blood. A debt promised. Her team gathered around as the hologram came alive, showing images of the Talari, small, bright-eyed beings standing beside human soldiers, fighting and dying together. The words burned into the hologram. When you fall, we will rise. The humans stared, silence filling the room. We never repaid them, Lena said, her voice breaking. They saved us and we did nothing. The moment was heavy. It felt as if the air itself demanded action. Weeks later, in secret chambers of Earth's high command, leaders watched the same hologram. The room was filled with tension. Generals, admirals, and presidents sat in silence, until one spoke. If this is true, then humanity carries a wound older than memory. Another, his voice deep, replied, then we will heal it. We will repay what was promised. Outside the solar system, alien spies reported strange movements, human fleets adjusting their courses, supply convoys moving to hidden coordinates, ancient shipyards reawakening. Rumors spread like fire. The humans were preparing something. In the council, fear grew. They have remembered, the Avari historian whispered, his voice carrying through the chamber. The Forgotten Debt breathes again. Alien rulers mocked him at first. Humans are too weak, too scattered. But deep in their hearts they felt the tremor. In the following weeks, across Earth and her colonies, a strange unity formed. Old rivalries between nations vanished. Industries shifted overnight. Whispers spread among human workers, soldiers, and pilots. All carried the same fire in their eyes. The debt must be paid, they said in orbit. Enormous vessels were stripped of their peacetime colors and armored again. Ancient war banners unfurled. Not of conquest, but of honor. Fleets once divided under flags of different nations now stood together under one. A single emblem. Earth. Dr. Lena stood at the window of a space station, watching as the first great warship left dock, its engines roaring like a storm, her heart filled with pride and fear. The galaxy thinks we forgot, she whispered. But humans never forget, not truly. And somewhere, in the black silence between the stars, that whisper turned into a warning, the kind that carried across empires, across systems, across ages. The debt had been remembered, and repayment was coming. Whispers of repayment. The galaxy was vast, but news traveled faster than light when fear carried it. In dim cantinas at the edge of trade routes, alien merchants whispered of strange human movements, convoys filled with metal and fuel, fleets redirecting through old forgotten lanes, war factories humming with energy long thought silent. They are preparing for war. One insectoid trader buzzed nervously, his mandibles clacking. I saw their convoys myself, endless ships stretching across the void. Another, with scales dull from age, shook his head. Not war, repayment. The humans have remembered something. And repayment is never gentle, the word spread. Reaching worlds that once mocked Earth as primitive. Now their laughter turned to silence in the shadows of the council chamber. Fear grew like a sickness. The Avari historian stood again, his frail form trembling. The debt was written in human blood. Do you not understand? When they repay in full. But most rulers dismissed him, pride clouding their judgment. Humans are ants. They scurry and pretend it's strength. What can they repay against empires older than stars? Still, unease lingered on Earth. The preparations deepened. Warship hulls rose from dry docks. Ancient codes and banners were revived, not symbols of conquest but of memory. Humanity was not screaming for revenge. It was whispering with quiet unity. Families spoke in hushed voices. Old soldiers told stories of allies lost. Children grew up hearing the vow, never forget a friend, never forgive a betrayal. And though they did not know the name Talari, their hearts carried the promise in orbit above Jupiter. Admiral Rain stood on the bridge of his flagship, his eyes fixed on the vast fleet assembling before him. Every ship that leaves dock, he said to his officers, is not for Earth alone, it is for those who fell before us. It is repayment in fire and steel. His voice spread across the fleet, transmitted to every captain, every pilot, every engineer. We do not march to conquer, we march to honor. And when the galaxy watches, they will understand what it means when humans remember. Beyond human space, alien spies reported their findings with growing dread. Encrypted messages carried warnings back to their empires. They are building war fleets at a pace unseen. They do not boast, they do not threaten. They prepare in silence, and that silence is louder than any weapon. In border colonies of weaker empires, fear spread. Leaders gathered their fleets nervously, wondering if humanity's repayment would fall on them. Rumors turned into panic, trade routes emptied, merchants avoided human space as if it burned. Yet humanity remained calm. Their broadcasts carried no threats. Their diplomats spoke no warnings, but their silence felt heavier than any declaration of war. Deep in the council, one young delegate whispered, "It is not their weapons that frighten me, it is their unity when humans agree." The stars themselves bend. In hidden archives across Earth, historians piece together fragments of the Talari tragedy. Images of burned worlds, shattered fleets, and betrayal at the hands of the same council that now mocked humanity. Dr. Lena, still working tirelessly, uncovered the final message of a Talari leader. "If we fall, remember us. Do not let our name vanish." Her voice was soft, filled with both sorrow and hope. "Repay us not with sorrow, but with fire." Lena carried that recording to the High Council of Earth. Her eyes filled with tears as she pressed play and the room grew silent. Leaders of every nation, every colony listened, and when the message ended, they rose as one. "The debt will be repaid," they swore. Meanwhile, alien leaders debated frantically. If the humans move, who will they strike? Who will suffer repayment first? Whispers filled the chamber. Alliances began to fracture. Fear bred paranoia. And so, as humanity prepared, the galaxy tore itself apart with fear alone. Admiral Rain stood again on the bridge of his ship, watching the stars. "They believe repayment is vengeance," he said, his voice calm. "But they do not understand. Repayment is justice, repayment is loyalty, repayment is the truth written in blood. And we are only beginning in the silence of space." The engines of 1,000 human ships ignited, their flames burning brighter than suns and across the galaxy. Entire civilizations trembled at the whispers of repayment. The awakening fleet. The first signs were small, faint ripples across the void. Alien patrols reported strange energy signatures near forgotten asteroid belts. Derelict stations flickered with sudden life. Abandoned facilities lit up as if ghosts had returned, but these were not ghosts. They were human shipyards, older than memory, hidden in darkness for centuries, long believed to be empty. Now they roared awake. Giant doors of stone and steel opened across asteroid fortresses, and within them slept warships unlike any the galaxy had seen. Their hulls scarred, their weapons silent, but their cores alive. One by one they began to breathe again. Alien spies who stumbled upon the awakening never returned. Their signals cut short by shadows moving faster than light. Entire scout fleets vanished in silence in human command. Admiral Rain stood before the holographic projection of the fleet, his voice calm but heavy. "These ships are not new, they are old. Older than most of our enemies' pride, forged in the fires of ancient wars. and yet stronger now than ever before. Officers looked at him with awe. "Why hide them for so long?" one asked. Rain's gaze hardened. "Because we swore never to wake them unless the debt called us. Now the debt has spoken." The awakening fleet was not just metal, it was memory. Ships built with technology humans had crafted with their lost ally, the Tilari, designs long erased from history. Their curves strange, their weapons carrying secrets of both species. Dr. Lena watched the awakening with wide eyes. Her research had hinted at this, but to see it real made her heart race. "The Tilari live again in these ships," she whispered. "Their hands are in every design, their souls in every engine." Messages spread in panic across the galaxy. Empires whispered, "The humans have ships that should not exist. Their weapons are older than our thrones, and they awaken them as repayment." The council convened in emergency. Rulers screamed across the chamber. Accusations thrown like fire. "They plan to destroy us all," one cried. "They cannot be allowed to rise," but the Avery historian only bowed his head. "Fools, do you not see this was written before any of us sat on these thrones? Repayment was always coming. It is not their choice. It is their nature in the void near Saturn." The first warship of the awakening fleet moved free of its dock. Massive and silent, its hull black as night. Its engines burned with a blue flame that tore through the darkness when it passed. Even nearby moons trembled. A single alien probe managed to transmit one image before being destroyed. The silhouette of a ship so vast it blocked out the stars, and the galaxy trembled at the sight on Earth. Entire populations watched the broadcast of the awakening, their faces lit with pride, fear, and unity. "The debt must be repaid," children whispered to each other. Soldiers chanted in their barracks. Miners carved it into stone walls. Humanity was no longer divided. Admiral Rain addressed the people. His words carried to every colony, every ship. "We are not monsters. We are not conquerors. We are a people who keep our word. The galaxy took our ally and we swore to repay. Now we rise not in hatred but in loyalty. And the stars will remember." Alien governments collapsed under fear. Some tried to send envoys to Earth begging for peace, but no reply came. Humanity did not threaten. Humanity did not boast. Humanity only prepared. More shipyards awoke, fleets of black steel rising into the void, weapons hum louder than thunder, engines brighter than suns. Alien soldiers who once mocked humans now spoke in hushed voices. "Do not fight them, pray they do not choose you. Repayment is worse than war." Yet in the silence of their homes, human families spoke with pride. "The Tilari saved us once. We will not fail them now." And so, across the galaxy, two truths spread like fire. To aliens, terror for repayment meant destruction. To humans, honor for repayment meant loyalty. The awakening fleet moved, its shadow stretching across the stars, and the galaxy trembled, knowing this was only the beginning. The first strike, the galaxy had seen wars before, countless battles over borders, trade, and pride. But what humanity unleashed was not war, it was judgment. Their fleets moved in silence. No broadcast, no warning, no declaration. Only coordinates whispered in the shadows of human command. The first strike was chosen with care, not random, not reckless, but precise. The target was the empire that had betrayed the Tilari long ago. The ones who had burned their worlds, erased their name, and mocked their memory. They had lived for centuries with power and arrogance, never fearing consequence until the humans came. In orbit around the Empire's capital world, fleets of gleaming ships waited, their admirals confident, their soldiers relaxed. To them, humans were children with toys, nothing to fear. Then the void tore open. The awakening fleet emerged, black holes blocking the stars, engines blazing like suns, thousands of ships sliding into formation with perfect silence. For a moment, the Empire's admirals laughed. A show of strength, nothing more. But their laughter died as their sensors screamed. Human weapons locked, targeting with precision unseen within seconds. Entire enemy fleets were trapped. Their escape routes cut, their comms jammed. Admiral Rain stood on the bridge of his flagship, his voice calm as a whisper. "The debt begins here." His order was simple. One word, fire. The void exploded, human weapons roared like storms. Beams of light cut through enemy warships as if they were paper. Missiles moved like predators, striking with deadly accuracy in minutes. 3 enemy fleets collapsed, their formations shattered, their admirals silenced on the ground. The capital world looked up in horror as the skies burned. Citizens screamed, governments panicked. The empire that had ruled with iron claws now cowered like prey. But the humans did not destroy cities. They did not slaughter civilians. Their strike was cold, calculated, aimed only at the fleets, the military, the very hands that had once betrayed the Tillari. Alien soldiers whispered in shock. They fight like machines, but their eyes burn like fire. Within an hour, the Empire's defenses were gone, their mighty fleets reduced to wreckage drifting in silence, their admirals begging for surrender. And yet the humans did not conquer. They did not take the world. Instead, they transmitted a single message across every channel. A monument appeared in orbit, forged from captured steel and glowing with fire. On it were words carved in dozens of languages. Debt repaid, never forgotten. Then the human fleets vanished as suddenly as they had arrived, leaving only silence. Ruins and terror behind the galaxy trembled. Empires that had mocked humanity fell into panic, their leaders shouting in fear. They did not destroy, they judged. Who will they strike next? Who carries the weight of their debt? In the council, chaos erupted. Some demanded immediate war against Earth. Others begged for peace, but all carried the same fear. The Avari historian rose once more, his many eyes glowing with sorrow. You fools, can you not see? This is not conquest, it is repayment. They will strike only those who betrayed, only those who mocked loyalty, and when they finish, the galaxy will never be the same. Back on Earth, Dr. Lena stood before her console, watching the after-action reports, her heart heavy. It has begun, she whispered. Repayment has started. And nothing will stop it now, human soldiers. Pilots and engineers did not cheer their victory. Their faces were calm, solemn. They did not fight for glory. They fought for memory, and that made them unstoppable. In hidden chambers of human command, Rain spoke to his officers. The galaxy will call us monsters. They will call us tyrants, but we are none of these. We are humans, we keep our word, we honor our debt, and tonight the stars remember it. Across the galaxy, whispers spread faster than light. Do not cross them. Do not mock them, do not betray them, for when humans repay, the universe itself trembles, and in the silence of space, the awakening fleet moved again, choosing their next target. The first strike was only the beginning. Terror across the stars, panic spread faster than ships could travel, faster than light, faster than reason. Across the galaxy, entire empires whispered the same word. Humans, the first strike had been clean, precise and merciless. 3 fleets erased in minutes. A capital world left trembling under the shadow of a monument that read only, debt repaid, never forgotten. No empire could ignore such a message. In trade stations, merchants spoke with trembling voices. I saw it with my own eyes. Their ships were black shadows. Their weapons cut through steel like fire through paper. Others swore they saw entire fleets vanish before a single human barrage. On distant colonies, governors ordered their fleets to retreat closer to home. Entire armies recalled from borders. Empires that had once roared with pride now curled inward like frightened beasts. The council chamber fell into chaos. Voices screamed across the dome. We must unite against them, shouted one warlord, his tusks gleaming. If we fight alone, they will erase us one by one. But another, trembling with fear, cried out, You saw what they did, unity will not save us. They strike not for conquest, but for repayment, and none can stand in the way of their oath. The Avari historian spoke again, his words soft but sharp. This is what you feared and what you denied. The forgotten debt has awoken, and humanity carries it like fire in their veins. You cannot stop fire. You can only watch it burn, while the council argued. Humanity moved in silence, no threats, no broadcasts. Their fleets appeared where betrayal had been born, crushing defenses with precision, leaving behind the same monument, debt repaid, before vanishing again. Entire star systems fell not to occupation, but to memory. Alien citizens lived in terror, not knowing if their world carried guilt. They watched the skies every night, praying no black ships would appear in one empire. A governor awoke to find every orbital defense destroyed overnight. Not a single shot fired against civilians, but the message burned into the ruins. We do not forget, the governor resigned in fear. His empire collapsed within weeks. On Earth, humanity grew quiet. Unity held stronger than ever. Workers built ships without question. Pilots trained without hesitation. Children studied the oath as if it were scripture. Never forget a friend. Never forgive a betrayal. Dr. Lena watched recordings of alien broadcasts. Panic spreading like waves, she whispered to herself. They think we do this for conquest. They will never understand. This is not about them. This is about us, about loyalty, about keeping a word. Admiral Rain addressed his officers. Do not let victory make you careless. Do not let fear turn you cruel. Our mission is not revenge, it is honor. The Talari deserve repayment in full. We will not dishonor their memory with hate. His words spread across the fleet. Soldiers carried them in their hearts. Pilots etched them into their cockpits. Engineers carved them into steel. Meanwhile, alien rulers began turning on one another, suspicion rotting their alliances. One shouted, "You betrayed the Talari more than we did." "Humanity will strike you first," another hissed. "No, they will strike you. You were the ones who mocked their bond." Paranoia spread like a disease. Empires collapsed without a single human shot. Fear itself was the weapon. In a small mining colony at the edge of the void, a group of alien workers stared as human ships passed overhead. Silent and cold, one whispered, "They did not attack us." Another replied, "Because we never betrayed them." Relief filled their eyes. But terror remained. The awakening fleet became a shadow, moving from system to system, repayment falling where betrayal had once lived, monuments rising like scars across the stars. In the council chamber, silence finally replaced shouting. Every leader stared at the growing map of monuments, dozens of systems marked with the same phrase, "Debt repaid." The youngest delegate finally spoke, her voice trembling. "If humanity repays loyalty with such fire, then what will they do if we offer friendship?" No one answered, for fear of even speaking the word friendship with humans. Across the galaxy, children grew up hearing the whispers, "Do not betray a human, for they never forget." And on Earth, a single vow burned brighter than suns. The debt was not yet fully repaid. The galaxy had only seen the beginning. The debt in full, the galaxy had never seen such silence. Worlds that once roared with pride and arrogance now whispered in fear. Every empire watched the stars waiting, dreading, praying that the black fleets of humanity would not appear over their skies. But the fleets moved, not wild, not reckless. They moved with purpose, with precision, like a blade drawn only for truth in the darkness between suns. Thousands of human warships gathered, their engines blazing with blue fire, their hulls marked with symbols of the Talari. Ancient runes mixed with human steel. Together they formed the largest fleet ever seen. On the bridge of his flagship, Admiral Rain stood in silence, his officers waiting, his soldiers watching, Dr. Lena beside him with trembling hands holding the final message of the Talari, their last words recorded before their extinction. She pressed play, and the voice of a Talari elder filled the ship. "If we fall, do not weep. If we are betrayed, do not despair. Repay us with loyalty. Repay us with fire. Let our memory live in your strength." The bridge fell silent, and then Rain spoke, his words carrying to every human ship, every soldier, every pilot, every engineer. "Today we do not fight for conquest. We do not fight for power. We fight to repay. We fight because we keep our word. The Talari died for us, and now we rise for them." The fleet roared with agreement, voices echoing through the comms. A single vow carried across the stars. The debt in full, and then they moved. The first empire fell in hours. Its fleets shattered, its rulers silenced. But humanity did not burn its cities, did not enslave its people. Instead, they left a monument in orbit, glowing brighter than the suns. For the Talari, debt repaid, the second empire collapsed before a shot was fired. Its fleet surrendered the moment the humans arrived. They begged for mercy, offered wealth, offered territory. But humanity refused. They took nothing, only leaving the same monument for the Talari. Debt repaid. With every system they struck, the galaxy trembled more. Because this was not conquest, it was justice. A justice that none could stop. Alien leaders hid in their fortresses, wondering who would be next. Wondering if their betrayal had been remembered. Entire civilizations tore themselves apart with fear. Yet through it all, humanity never faltered. Their fleets never slowed. They carried themselves not with rage, but with solemn duty. Every soldier knew the truth. Every officer carried the oath. Never forget a friend. Never forgive a betrayal. Dr. Lena watched reports flood in. Monuments rising in system after system, and her eyes filled with tears. "They will finally rest," she whispered. "The Talari will not be forgotten. Their memory is alive in us." In the council chamber, silence turned to despair. The leaders stared at the growing map. Dozens of empires marked with the human seal of repayment, none of them able to stop it. The Avari historian spoke once more, his voice filled with both sorrow and awe. "You feared humanity because you saw only their weapons, but you never understood. Their true strength is not their steel. It is their loyalty, and loyalty is more dangerous than any fleet." Alien children asked their parents in fear, "Will the humans come for us?" And their parents whispered back, "Not if we never betray them." Human fleets stood at the edge of every empire that once mocked them. and in each strike they carved history, not as conquerors, but as keepers of a word in the quiet after each battle. The stars held the same message, monuments glowing in silence, each one a scar, each one a vow fulfilled, and soon the galaxy understood. Humanity was not at war. Humanity was paying a debt, and they would pay it in full. The galaxy shaken, the galaxy held its breath. Stars burned as they always had, but everything felt different. The monuments glowed across dozens of systems, silent reminders of what humanity had done. Whispers filled every corner of space. The debt is nearly paid, but one empire still remained. The greatest of them all. The throne world of the Council itself. The very place where the betrayal of the Talari had been signed. Where leaders once laughed as their allies burned. Human fleets gathered at its border. Black silhouettes stretching farther than eyes could see. Engines burning brighter than suns, every warship carrying the same vow. In the council chamber, panic spread. Rulers begged, argued, cried. Some shouted for war. Others demanded surrender. None could agree. And then the alarm screamed. The awakening fleet appeared, surrounding the council's home system in silence. Their black hulls blotting out the stars. Their weapons humming like storms before rain. On the bridge of his flagship, Admiral Rain stood with Dr. Lena beside him, his face calm, his eyes cold. "This is the heart of betrayal," he said, "and this will be the final repayment." Dr. Lena activated the Talari recording one last time, the voice of the lost ally filling the fleet. "Repay us not with sorrow but with fire. Let our memory live in your strength." The human fleet answered as one. The debt ends here. The strike began. Council fleets rushed to defend their throne world. Thousands of ships in gleaming formation. The might of a dozen empires combined. But against the awakening fleet they shattered like glass. Human weapons cut through them with terrifying precision. One by one the council's ships burned, their admirals silenced, their defenses collapsing. Yet once again, humanity did not destroy cities. They did not touch civilians. Their fire fell only on the fleets, on the rulers, on the very hands that betrayed the Talari within hours. The skies above the council's throne world were filled with wreckage, burning metal drifting like dead stars, and then silence. A single massive monument was deployed in orbit, larger than any before, glowing with fire that lit the entire system. Its words etched deep, "For the Talari, debt repaid." Never forgotten, the human fleet did not stay. They did not conquer. They vanished into the void, leaving only silence and fear in the council chamber. Survivors stared at the message, their voices broken. They could have taken everything. They could have ruled us all. "Why did they leave?" the Avari historian answered, his many eyes glowing dim. "Because they are not like us. We betray, they repay, that is their nature, and that is why we fear them." Across the galaxy, children grew up under the shadow of those glowing monuments. Stories spread like fire, tales of humans who never forgot, who repaid loyalty with loyalty, betrayal with fire. Entire empires reshaped their laws, swearing never to betray an ally, never to mock a promise for fear that one day humanity might return on Earth. The fleet returned to silence. Shipyards went quiet. War banners folded away, but the monuments across the stars continued to burn. Guardians of memory. Dr. Lena stood at the window of her station, her voice soft. "It is done, the debt is paid." "They will never be forgotten," Admiral Rain, older now, looked out at the dark sky. "Let them fear us," he said, "but let them also know the truth. Humans keep their word. And that is why the stars tremble." And so, the galaxy lived in silence, shaped by fear, shaped by respect, shaped by the memory of humanity's repayment, and a whisper carried across every world. A warning, a truth, a prayer. If humanity owes you a debt, pray it is never repaid.